Excuse me, can I help you? This is Jack.
I was a snowman.
That's not good. The coveralls and the boots, did you steal them?
Yes.
I like throwing some curveballs at the beginning of every interview. So for the two of you, I am curious, you both worked on a lot of things. What do you think was the hardest shot or sequence you've had to film, and why? Maybe because of a camera move or dialogue. Like, what caused that scene or sequence to be difficult?
There was actually a scene in this movie that it didn't end up making it into the final cut of the movie.
Yeah.
But it was one long shot, and it almost became a bit of a dance number. And there were so many characters. We were all converging and all had dialogue and trying to take our cues off the next line. And it was this really cool, almost choreography.
Yeah, our director, Jerry Ciccoritti, he was really looking at a lot of older movies from the 40s and 50s and some of the kind of dance numbers in there, and using that how he in how he was directing, specifically this one sequence at the end where it was everyone had to like cross at certain times, and we had to change clothes behind the diner counter at one point. And there was quite a lot of choreography, which, you know, it's fun though. That kind of really makes the day way more interesting. It makes it for a long day, but it's an interesting day.
Yeah.
I'll go on to the next thing, which is, do you have a go-to holiday movie, and has it changed as you've gotten older?
Yes and no. I mean, every year since as long as I can remember, we watch Christmas Vacation, Elf, Home Alone, Christmas with the Cranks. I mean, just the Santa Claus. Love that as a kid. Now my 8-year-old daughter loves all three of those movies. I think that's the thing about a holiday movie that becomes a part of your family's tradition or your personal tradition. It just, for me, it reminds me of the first time I saw that movie, and it gives me that same nostalgic feeling every year that I watch it over and over. And I just never tire of those kind of movies. I love them so much.
Yeah. I love The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I think, you know, as a weird kid, there was something about the kind of subversive nature of it that really appealed to me. But at the same time, it still had all the warmth and heart and kind of cozy goodness that, again, you kind of want out of a holiday movie. And I watch it every now and again, sometimes not even on Christmas, just to really mix it up. But I love that one.
Dustin, I definitely have to ask you, what is it like getting a script called Hot Frosty, and they are asking you to play Hot Frosty?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of, being flattered and also very hesitant, I think, because you're just kind of like, okay, it's called Hot Frosty. What is it going to be? But I think that was what was so wonderful about this is literally on the very first page, you understand that there's so much more going on than just something as superficial as the title might suggest. And you know, with Lacey's character, it's such a beautiful journey that she goes on, and Lacey does such a beautiful job in showing the nuance and the depth of somebody, you know, working through the grief, and also having to deal with this maniac in a sleeveless jumpsuit or whatever. I ended up being in a scarf, perpetually wearing a scarf. It really is something that, as much as fun and levity and comedy and lightness as there is in this movie, there's also so much heart, so much warmth and depth that it got me right away. I was hooked.
I love learning about the behind the scenes of the making movies, TV, and my audience does as well. Is there anything you think would surprise soon-to-be fans to learn about the making of this film?
I don't. It's like that. Like is completely unknown. I mean, there was tons of fake snow.
I was gonna say this, all the
snowballs were fake. All that was like totally. All the ice, the snow sculptures were made out of styrofoam. Is that surprising enough?
It is. It's called movie magic, and you'd never know.
You would never know. It honestly, I was struck by that when we were like walking up and down, going into the diner set every day. We would walk past all those sculptures, and I was always just like, this feels like so Christmassy. Like you almost get a little bit of a chill just walking past it.
Totally. And the diner wasn't a real diner.
Not a real diner. Yeah, it was like an old bank or something.
And it was created for this, I believe.
Yeah. All the pancakes and everything that was on people's plates were completely edible. We won't see it in the movie, but I licked almost every single pancake that was in that diner at one point.
That scene was really
I was going to say the most fake thing about this movie is that snow still exists.
Hey, there we go. There we go. Too soon, Steve. Come on, man.
It's 5 years too soon. I'm sorry. So I just brought it all down. So I'm a big fan of Craig Robinson and Joe Truglio, and they add a lot to this movie. Were you a little disappointed you didn't have more scenes with them?
Oh my goodness. Every time I was on set with them and off set, because they're both so lovely and hilarious in real life, it was just a joy to be around them.
Yeah.
I was excited when we had scenes together, and I just, again, I felt like I became almost an audience member and would forget sometimes almost that I was in the scene with them because I just enjoyed watching them so much. They're just hilarious and creative.
They're so funny, and there was so much improvising that I think having them there on set also gave us permission to do even more of that. And our director, Jerry, as well, like wanted everyone to kind of, and wanted it to be live. And so there was a lot of that play. And definitely anytime they were around, that just got heightened even more. Totally. They're so funny.
I know this is a little generic, but what are you actually most excited for people to get out of this movie? Like what you're excited for them to see?
I think it's the magic of it. There's such a sense of magic in the air around the holiday season anyway, and it has that feel-good, cozy holiday warmth, but it also has a lot of heart, a lot of comedy. And I think people are going to be surprised when they see how layered the characters really are. And it's something that I hope brings some hope and joy.
Yeah, it's disarming, I think, based on the title and the premise, how much this movie can actually hit you right in the feels. And I do think that that's something that we talked about it. Really, we hope people can take away is this is just a chance to sit down by yourself or with the people you love and just feel good for a little while.
Dustin, I definitely have to ask you, women have been objectified for a very long time in movies.
How so? Really?
I've never noticed. So how did it feel for you to have the camera's gaze sort of objectifying you a little bit? And
it incredibly uncomfortable. It's not something that I recommend, and it was something that I knew going into it, was going to be very uncomfortable. And I was very intentional with where my head was at every single day that I was exposed the way that I was, because I had to, you have to kind of protect yourself and advocate for yourself. Luckily, this was a conversation I had with Lacey as well, and she was there, I think, very much as my partner, my ally in that specifically, where, sometimes things would feel maybe not quite so great. And even just with a look between us, I knew that I was allowed to kind of speak up for myself in a way that would just make me more comfortable, and I think just sort of make the entire day just run with a little more ease and a little more comfort. And that, I think, in turn allowed for a freer performance, a much more uninhibited performance that I hope, made Jack that much more of a stronger character.
Now I really do have to stop. Good luck with the rest of your speed dating.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.